What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. One thing I don't get about Jerry Jones, I get he likes being different and likes beating to the beat of his own drum. But there are certain protocols that it's just like makes it easier on everybody. The Dallas Cowboys were eliminated from playoff contention a long time ago, right? It's not like they went into week 18 with a chance to make the playoffs if they won a game. They had been eliminated 4 weeks. Honestly, it was pretty clear, even when they were winning some games under McCarthy, this wasn't a playoff team. That Dak Prescott was up in the booth with his 17 iced teas. I mean, talk about what I don't know if they pay him for the marketing of that, whatever that drink is, the leaf drink. I've never had one. But when I saw, I think the last game of the season, when he had all those iced teas in front of him, it made me walking around Safeway. I looked at it. I thought about buying one. I'm just not a huge iced tea guy, but Dak Prescott sure likes it. If you're going to drink 5 of them, you must really, really value the flavor in those drinks. But why didn't Jerry Jones do this last Monday? And I'm sure we're going to find out in-depth reporting from a lot of people around the Cowboys over the next 24, 48 hours. What was really being discussed, like the details of the last 5, 6, 7 days. But how could you not have come to the conclusion at the end of the season? And I put a little of this on Mike. It's like, fire me or keep me, but let's make a decision immediately. I just can't quite comprehend what was going on over these last several days. But that is the Dallas Cowboys. They literally never do anything like anyone else. Look at how they treat their massive contracts. They always wait till the last minute. They always pay the most humanly possible, even when the guy's a great player. It's like, this probably didn't have to be like that. And maybe there's an element to Jerry. Stock market's been ripping. He holds out as late as possible to put that money in escrow. But the more and more I thought about it, I just do not understand the point of making this decision a week after Black Monday, when we basically knew coming into the season this was a make or break season for the coach, given he didn't have a contract. So I don't know how they're going to try to justify it. I'm sure they will. And I put some of this on Mike. He could have drawn a line in the sand. Maybe he thought that it might be tenable and they could work this out. But I'd be hard-pressed to understand the rationale behind this. Now, who is going to be their next head coach? They discussed, Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders have talked. Obviously, if Jerry Jones offers Deion Sanders the job, Dion is as good as gone from Colorado. See ya, I'm out. Now, do we know for a fact that he's going to offer him the job? Who knows? What are his options? A couple college coaches, Dion. I think if Bill Belichick was available, they definitely would talk to him. I read that Dion's buyout's $8 million. We know Belichick's buyout's $10 million. Way less crazy if Jerry wants Dion. He just made Colorado beyond relevant with Shador and Travis Hunter. They won 9 games. If Dion left Colorado, everyone would just do cartwheels for how awesome that experience was this year. The Belichick thing would be pretty ugly, but Belichick's done a lot of shit that's pretty cold-blooded. Like, I would say Belichick's NFL career non-game day is defined by being pretty ruthless and having no heart and doing things that most people would be uncomfortable doing. So to think that if he did want the Cowboy job and Jerry Jones wanted Belichick, that Bill would worry about, well, I've only been here, a month and I promised I would stay. In what world, watching his career do business, thinks that he would give a flying fuck how many people he'd piss off at North Carolina? I don't. Here's the thing with Dion, though. He's got a couple things going for him. They just brought back Mike Zimmer to be their defensive coordinator. And by the end of the year, when they had a lot of guys healthy, they clearly looked a lot better on defense. Do you know who one of Dion's favorite coaches of all time was? Mike Zimmer. Go to Mike Zimmer's Wikipedia page. Who was the DB coach in the mid to late 90s? Zimmer. That's his guy. So you go, well, we can keep Zimmer. We can add Dion to be the CEO head coach. And listen, I'm not the biggest Pat Shermer guy, but Dion does have an NFL coordinator as his OC. Because if you're Jerry, the big question would be like, Dion, clearly relating to players, you can lead a group, you keep Zimmer, we're all on the same page. But what about the offense? Like, if Dion just had some random college coordinator, I wonder if you're Jerry and those guys, you feel a little uncomfortable. I can bring Pat Shermer, who has been an offensive coordinator countless places. And once upon a time in Minnesota with Case Keenum, had one of the great coordinating seasons in recent memory. They were in the NFC Championship and lost to that Nick Foles team. So there are boxes that check for Dion. Now, I think a lot of people assume that if Deion Sanders gets this job, he would want to kick Dak to the curb and go after Shador. I actually think it'd be more likely they're drafting 12 just to keep build up the team and coach Dak Prescott. Now, if Shador fell to 12, then yeah, I could see the Cowboys draft him. Do I think they would trade like 3 first rounders to get up to like 2 or 3 to draft Shador and do whatever with Dak and need $100 million in dead cap? I don't see that coming. So if there is a world where Deion Sanders is the head coach, I believe Mike Zimmer would stay as the defensive coordinator. And I also believe that Dak Prescott would stay as the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't think it's that crazy. And I think part of it is like, Jerry, you're over 80, you go out with a bang. Let's make this the ultimate marketing machine. You talk about Dion, bright lights, everyone talking about you. And listen, what Dion did this year was pretty impressive. Colorado was a joke before he got there. 2 years later, they won 9 games, and honestly, were a half away from going to the Big 12 championship game. Now, I think it turns out Arizona State was better, but like they were pretty good this year. And the other thing is like they were pretty well coached, definitely on defense, which is Dion's side of the ball. And clearly, Dion can relate to young, talented players. I mean, they're recruiting really, really well. Now, you could argue in college football, a huge part of that is because of NIL, which I hate the word NIL. It's just called pay to play, but it's just a salary. I'm just paying you to play. Like, what are you actually? And I heard Dion actually say this. Like, what commercials are any of these guys on? Like, what billboards are these guys on? They're just getting paid $300,000 to play DB. They're not being paid $300,000 to go on TV and promote sunglasses. That's not happening. But I also think the other name to keep an eye on, if Dion doesn't happen, if Belichick doesn't happen, would be Kellen Moore. A couple years ago, Jerry was well or outspoken about how highly he thought about Kellen and how he viewed him as a future head coach. And the other thing with the Cowboys is they are indebted when it comes to the quarterback position for hundreds of millions of dollars. Like Dak Prescott, they just gave him so much fucking money. So you almost have to double down in that situation. If you are going to fire Mike, who made Dak look really, really good, you have to be like leaning to be inclined to hire someone that is also going to make Dak look really, really good. And Kellen Moore was not only his quarterback coach, but was his offensive coordinator, and clearly they have a really good relationship. And I think Jerry can also look at it like, well, who am I hurting if I hire Kellen, a guy that I view like I created and I put on the map, even though he didn't. Chris Peterson, Boise State did, but from an NFL coaching standpoint, I hurt the Eagles, right? I mean, the Eagles. Let's face it, I haven't seen the line. My guess would be 6, 7 point favorite against the Rams. I would say 5.5 as the smallest. So if we assume they win that game at home, Kellen Moore will be coordinating a team in the championship game with probably a pretty decent chance to win. And if you don't think that that matters to him, not only getting his guy back, but hurting one of his biggest rivals, that has to mean something. So I would say the Dion thing's clearly real. Like 100% it is. And it makes a lot of sense. But if for whatever reason it doesn't happen, to me, in Belichick, which I would have thought last year, or if he wasn't at North Carolina, would have been a real. I don't know. I wouldn't say that he's going to be loyal to UNC, but the way Lombardi has openly talked about how I would say entrenched they are at Chapel Hill, maybe you got to believe him. I don't know, but I do think that Kellen Moore. I think those would be the three names: Dion, Belichick, Kellen Moore. I'd be stunned if it's not one of those three guys coaching the Dallas Cowboys in 2025.